Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale. Today we're going to take a look at some new meta decks that are literally winning right now in the meta in this Bren Chong CWA tournament. Those of you who don't know, who may be new to the channel, every single time there's a balance update in the game, I do a video like this. Basically wait a few days and then ask people who join to play their best new or the deck they have the most confidence in the new meta. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these decks here. We're going to hop into a lot of game action. It looks like Corn and Dex are facing off right now. Now, Corn is actually from Elite Gaming. Dex is from our sister clan, Elite Nation. So this is a battle of the Elite Nation versus Elite Gaming. Dex-Max, a very good player. So is Corn. Corn on his sponsored account currently is, I believe, third in the world right now. And he's playing on that account, on ladder now, he's playing a balloon deck. We'll have to wait and see. I kind of forgot who was who when I was just clicking all the profiles there. We'll have to see what he's playing here. It looks like Dex-Max starting out with a pump. What is he going to be playing here? Is he playing, I don't even know yet based on the cards. It really could be anything. It could be a big beatdown deck, or it could be, a variety. In the meta right now, it seems like there's a lot of Elixir pumps. At least there was. Oh, and look at the Xbow there. At least there was towards the end of the last season of meta, a lot of Elixir pumps, a lot more rocket in the game. So right off the bat there, kind of taking Corn by surprise with that first Xbow play. I think Corn, kind of like me and kind of like maybe you guys, did not expect that Xbow off the bat there. Usually you see that early pump and you usually think, at least me, I usually think some sort of a beatdown deck. So able to get that Xbow locked onto Corn's left tower there, doing a significant amount of damage, and Corn is not happy about it. So here it is. It's the face-off of a minor control deck played by Corn with an Xbow deck played by Dex-Max. So the Xbow deck isn't necessarily new meta. The Xbow deck actually came in first in the world with Pompeo last season, but this is a different variation. He has the Electro Wizard in there. The Electro Wizard got a pretty big buff in terms of HP. Now he'll withstand a blast of a tournament level standard fireball. So Corn at this point trying to get something going. He has been getting a decent amount of chip damage off that right tower every time that Dex plays that Elixir pump. Now Dex is limited here in his Elixir pump location. He can't put it behind that other tower because he knows the miner will go there, and that will actually be a pretty good positive Elixir trade for Corn. So he places the Elixir pump in front of the King Tower, but of course Corn's taking advantage of that placement as well, using that poison spell to kind of chip away at that right tower. So Corn, you can see his main combo here is a chip damage control deck for sure, and is using that miner poison combo on that right tower every time he sends the miner in, especially because he knows that Dex's best answer is the minions for his miner, so the poison will obviously take down the minions as well as do damage to the tower and protect the miner. So it's actually not a bad move there. Here comes the miner again with the poison combo. Now at this point, Dex just looking for an entry there to get down his Xbow onto that tower. Of course, he's going to have to blow through not only that furnace, but also deal with that bowler. So you can see Dex waiting till he was full on Elixir before he dropped that Xbow. That way he can defend it a little bit. He needs to drop those minions on that bowler to try to take out the bowler, and then of course Corn able to cycle back to that furnace again. Dex says well played. You'll notice that Corn is using the log pretty liberally against the Xbow, and that's something that a lot of top players always mention when I have them on for the pro tips episodes. They always say, log is a very, very good counter to Xbow, not in the sense that it's going to take it down or do a ton of damage. It actually does about 1/6 damage to the Xbow, but because it's going to push back the supporting troops that are defending the Xbow, and at the same time 1/6 damage is 1/6 damage that it's not going to be doing to your crown tower. So it's a good combo card to counter the Xbow, but it looks here like Dex actually got a lock on to that tower, and that's going to be it. Dex pulls off the win there, and he must be pretty high in the standings. I think he was maybe 4th or 6th going into that match, and there he is, number 1 so far, and we are towards the tail end of this tournament. I like to kind of wait and bring you the end of the tournament. Johnny picks up another victory there, so Johnny might be back in first place, and indeed he is. So we're going to hop in on Johnny on this next. We'll wait till he gets into match and see what he's playing right now. Johnny, he came from out of nowhere, at least for me. It's funny, you don't hear of some of these people. They've probably been around the game forever. But Johnny, I actually first started seeing him when he got first with a minor control deck, and ever since then, he's on an absolute tear in these tournaments. By the way, guys, I will go ahead and in the description of this video, as I always do on these videos, I'll put a list of all the decks and all the cards featured in today's video. That way, if you're looking for a deck, you want to try out a different one, they'll all be there listed for you guys in the description. As much as I'd like you to watch the video 10 times, I definitely won't wish that even upon my worst enemy. So we'll include, again, all the cards and all the decks in the description. So here comes a little push here, but it was easily shut down. And now Johnny looking to get something going offensively with the Balloon Musketeer. That was a good fireball there, able to hit both the Musketeer and the Balloon there. The death damage of that Balloon will destroy the Mega Minion, but the Balloon didn't quite make it to the tower. So Johnny playing an interesting deck here, a Balloon deck with a lot of supporting cards, a lot of defensive cards. We don't know, or at least I don't know, I don't remember what the other two final cards in Johnny's deck is. He's going against a Golem Beatdown deck here, an interesting variation with the Baby Dragon. Now I can only imagine the Baby Dragon is there because, you know, Splash is so important right now. I mean, the meta right now has a lot of zap bait. Whether it will stay that way, we'll have to see. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of it in this episode, in this tournament, so stay tuned for some good zap bait decks. Now, this is what Johnny wants to have happen right here. He saw the Golem played, he immediately dropped that Balloon there. The Ice Golem was distracting that tower, and it's going to be towered down there for Johnny, so all Johnny has to do at this point is just defend. With 1 minute left, there's still plenty of time, though, so let's see what his last card is. Is it Rocket, maybe? Do you think no, it can't be Rocket. He has Lightning. I'm wondering right now, what could Johnny's last card possibly be? Very good defense here by Johnny. He's luring the tank into the opposite lane. He's using the Musketeer on the other side of his tower for support. That's textbook how to defend against a beatdown deck. You want to lure the tank no matter what structure you're playing. You want to make sure you lure it to the other lane. You can see that furnace placement there by Johnny just now. That's going to lure the Golem to the other lane. He's going to play a Musketeer or a Minion or something on the left of the tower. So there it is. Musketeer to the left of the tower. If you have an Ice Golem, you might want to use there it is. I mean, I am predicting this, but really it's just easy textbook fundamentals by Johnny, right? So again, defended pretty well there. This time the Golemites able to actually almost get to his left tower. His Balloon actually got a hit onto the right tower, and with 5 seconds left, it looks like this is going to be in the books here for Johnny. So very cool deck there by Johnny. It's kind of a new age Balloon deck. There's no big tank in it. There's no giant, which you normally see. There's no Lava Hound. It's just kind of a very vintage Balloon deck. So let's keep it going here, guys. I want to show you as many decks as possible that are actually doing well in this tournament. Now, Kevin here, I believe he's an Xbow player, and it looks like he's going against Zap Bait. So this is going to be very interesting here. Now, he plays that Elixir pump right in front of his King Tower, a beautiful spot to play it. Now, especially now, before you could get away with playing the Elixir pump as your first pump, in the back, kind of assuming your opponent probably wouldn't be playing Miner, but Miner's usage rate has been skyrocketing. I mean, thanks to Control being viable again, and of course, thanks to the dominance again of this Zap Bait or Arrow Bait, or basically direct damage bait decks being viable now, you're seeing a lot more Miners. So now you have to place your pump in front of your King Tower, anticipating that your opponent may very well have the Miner. Now, Kevin chooses this opportunity to get another pump on the board. Reason being, he wants to create that Elixir advantage. There wasn't a spot for that pump in front of his King Tower. Now, he takes about 20 HP, 20% HP damage on his Xbow there from those Fire Spirits, but he also blocks him from doing any damage to his tower there. A nice Electro Wizard play, almost gets all the minions down. One more hit probably would have done it, but actually that was a great defense there against the Xbow. Now, Xbow it's still viable, as you saw. I mean, Dex was in first place for a second there with it, and Kevin's doing very well with it, but it seems like, especially on ladder, people are running even more and more Royal Giant. Oh my god, I started to play a little bit today on ladder just for the heck of it, and I was playing Xbow, and I was doing pretty well with Xbow for a while, and now it seems like Royal Giant is absolutely everywhere, and Royal Giant can go largely unchecked. As I talked about, this was my fear about Elite Barbarians. I know Elite Barbarians weren't everybody's favorite card in the game, But my big fear was, you know what, you nerf Elite Barbarians hard enough, Royal Giant is going to run rampant again on ladder, and, you know, I'm not a soothsayer or anything, but that looks to be the case, right? I mean, at least early on, it seems like RG in Legendary Arena, you know, between 3,000 and 5,000 cups is certainly everywhere. As a matter of fact, we're seeing Royal Giant in the top 100, and that's pretty crazy for a common win condition to be played by some of the best players in the world at the top of ladder. I think that alone speaks to how, you know, how much of a gain in popularity that Royal Giant is seeing and may very well continue to see. So I say all that to say, I don't know, Xbow, it might not be around for much longer. It just kind of re-entered the meta. It might not be here to stay, but hey, Kevin making me eat my words a little bit there. One deck that Xbow does do pretty well against is the Zap Bait decks. So King Kevin picks up the win there. Let's go ahead and move on to a different deck. Now, I'm tempted to go back to Johnny again because he's just so dominant, but I do want to give you guys a flavor for the meta. That is the title of the episode after all, and here it is. This is going to be very interesting. It's a giant graveyard deck on the bottom facing off against another beatdown deck, an air beatdown deck at the top there. It's a Lava Hound, kind of a classic Lava Hound minor variation. This is kind of reminiscent of the first decks that we saw with Lava Hound after it was introduced to the game. Now, over and over and over again, Skydane or Skidane, you guys know how awful I am at names, I apologize, but either way, he keeps having to defend against the same push over and over again. It's a giant at the bridge, followed by the immediate graveyard, and what that's doing is preventing him from being able to drop a Lava Hound, but he is getting a lot of chip damage with both the Miner and using the Fireball here and there. Now this is going to be a big defense. Ooh, at the very, very end, Azelis, or another name that I butchered from Panda Esports, who actually, congratulations to them. They just got sponsored as an official e-gaming esports team. That's actually pretty big news there. There's not a lot of them so far in Clash Royale. That's one thing I am kind of hoping to see a lot of in 2017 is not only bigger tournaments, but also more money, or maybe more locations hosting tournaments. That way, it's kind of viable for people to actually create a real-life team. So in 2016 in Clash Royale, we saw a lot of individuals compete in these tournaments. We saw Yao Yao win, we had Backstab X win, earlier in the year we had Jason win, we had, you know, there's so many other names, of course, but, you know, those were just some of the ones that I was actually at in attendance. And you know what, I think it'd be cool if we can kind of branch off. We have a lot of clans who have aspirations to compete at a very high level and kind of field actual esports teams, but the problem with Clash Royale right now is, at least in my mind, you know, the sponsors are there, the will is there, but the tournaments, the big money tournaments aren't there right now, at least. Maybe in 2017 we'll start seeing more of those. It's not necessarily about the money, it's just about, think about it, in like Dota and League of Legends, in these real esports games, you see a big prize pool going around, especially for the World Championship, and that kind of leads to the teams naturally emerging to compete for that prize pool. But if there isn't that huge prize pool out there to compete for, then what are you really doing anyway? I know we over at Elite Gaming, we hope to have some representatives. We have a few of the best players in the game. We actually licensed our name and stuff, so we're legit in the US. It just comes down to, you know, will there be an ecosystem like I talked about for that competitive atmosphere environment around this game, or will it be a more casual individual game? Either way is fine. I think probably that's something that Supercell is internally talking a lot about as well. At least I hope that it becomes super competitive, but of course I'm only one person and only represent myself, so we'll have to see what they feel is best for the entire player base. But I kind of got off on a tangent there. Let's kind of hop back to these meta decks, right? So at the bottom we have Amar the Hulk. He's playing an interesting variation of a bait deck. He has some defensive capability, some serious defensive capability. He can use a defensive rocket. He has the Inferno Tower. He has the log. And of course, he has the cards that we'd expect in a normal bait deck. Very nice Goblin Barrel there. Might finish the game very close. We already are in overtime. What I'm going to do is stick with Amar the Hulk, and we'll see how he does with this deck. You know what? So far, if I had to try one of these decks myself, it might be Amar's deck here. I like I was saying, I like a deck that has that defensive stopper, like the Inferno Tower, kind of like Pompeo. I had a Q&A with Pompeo, even though he didn't come on in audio, but he was kind enough to answer 10 questions on my previous Clash Royale episode, and I asked him what his favorite card in the entire game was, and to my surprise, he said the Inferno Tower. He likes to have Inferno Tower in all his decks because, you know, right off the bat, he knows he can overextend his hand a little bit offensively and lean on that Inferno Tower against beatdown decks. So Ammar, we're hopping right back into it here. He starts off with the Goblin Barrel and able to do a decent amount of damage to that left tower. Now, he went against a Zap, but you saw that his log actually countered the Goblin Barrel much better than that Zap did. Now, you want to pay attention to Ammar here because it looks so far that he, fundamental-wise, he's been a beast. He's had everything in the exact proper spots. He used the Electro Wizard to shut down that Goblin Barrel as well as the log. When the log's out of rotation, he has an answer so far for everything at this point the Ice Wiz can throw at him. Again, a beautiful log there. Oh, and he's cocky. He says thanks even before the well played is flashed. That was a great move. Using the log just at the very last second to make sure he caught those goblins coming down the lane there, as well as that Goblin Barrel. Now, if you look at both of the decks here, by the way, he flashed the thumbs up, so maybe Ammar was just being cheeky there with a thanks comment, but it seems like a good enough guy. So why am I even saying that? Who cares? So Ammar actually going to use an offensive rocket here to take out the princess, do a lot of damage to that left tower, and when you're playing such a defensively stout deck like Ammar is, he has that luxury to use that offensive, aggressive rocket there to take down the princess. So for 3 Elixir, he actually did about 500 damage to that tower. Not too bad considering he was sitting at full Elixir. Again, he flashes the thanks. A very spectacular defensive sequence there for Ammar. He plays the princess in the right lane, and then the Electro Wizard in the left lane, able to shut down that Minion Horde coming in hot there. So there comes the Goblin Barrel. Of course, they will survive one shot from the princess there, and they take down the left tower. Now, all Ammar has to do at this point is just defend. So here comes the Miner. Again, a Minion Horde. We're going to see how he deals with it. So here comes the first Goblin Barrel, the Minion Horde. He was able to stop them very, very easily there with the Inferno Tower to distract. He played the Skeleton Army against the Goblin Barrel, and then he played the Electro Wiz on the Minion Horde. So if you want to use this deck, I would highly recommend watching this replay over again. If you don't want to listen to me, go ahead and put me on mute, but it's actually a very textbook defensive gameplay or defensive replay to go ahead and watch, especially if you kind of want to nail defensive placement and how to kind of pick and choose your spots offensively. I think Ammar's timing has been impeccable here, and even against the Mirrored Goblin Barrel, he had such great discipline for when to use a Skeleton Army and then when to hold and save onto the log for that second Mirrored Goblin Barrel. So that was a really, really nice match there by Ammar. Let's see how high he is in the overall standings here. So Ammar the Hulk, wow, in second place here. Johnny firmly cemented in first place. Johnny tearing it up. Now, again, guys, I will put a timestamp to where I covered every single deck that we did show in today's video. I'll also include a timestamp and go over all the top 10 decks at the end of this replay here. So let's see how Ammar deals with this deck. It looks to be early on with a Skeleton Army, the Furnace, and the Log. Probably another bait deck. So this time we know how good Ammar is, especially against his mirror deck. So this time using the Skeleton Army to distract that Minion Horde away from his tower. Let's try to spay and neuter our pets, ladies and gentlemen. Spay and neuter your pets. Okay, let's try to pay special attention here to Ammar's placement of his troops, his cards, defensively especially there. And again, proves to have great timing and value on his log there, able to wait just the last second there to take out that Goblin Barrel. Let's kind of also pay attention to when he uses his Goblin Barrel, at what times in the match does he choose to do so. So here's kind of a down moment. Ammar has a 2 Elixir lead. Let's see what he plays here. And we're still waiting here. Weird to not hear me talk a million miles a second the entire video, I know. So Electro Wiz behind his King Tower. It looks like he's gonna let the Electro Wiz handle those fire spirits. Then he plays an Ice Golem, and here comes the Goblin Barrel. So he plays, you'll notice it, he plays the Ice Golem a little bit behind the bridge, and when the Ice Golem gets to the bridge, it looks like then that's when he decides to use his Goblin Barrel, when he does most of the Goblin Barrel throws. Now this time he relies on his Princess again in the right lane, kind of putting the onus on the opponent to either deal with a Princess or combo the Minion Horde somehow. Now here comes an opposing Goblin Barrel and a Miner, uses his Skeleton Army and Electro Wiz to shut that down, barely any damage done to his left tower. And one thing about Ammar that I've kind of noticed here is that he is not afraid to over-defend. I say over-defend loosely, but he's not afraid to throw down all his Elixir on defense. If he has to, he'd rather not take the damage, and think about it, actually makes sense, because especially in a deck like this, you're not going to be losing your troops after they defend, so they just kind of mount a little push of their own. Now here comes that rocket here for Ammar, that's almost going to take down that tower, but he's going to have to defend here. Big Skeleton Army plays to distract the Minion Horde. The Ice Golem also distracting the Minion Horde in Electro Wiz again. A great defense there, great defensive sequence by Ammar, uses the log, takes down that left tower. 130 live viewers here. The pressure is on. All Ammar has to do is hold on for about 10 more seconds, and he's got this in the bag, and he knows he's got it. This is it. And wow, that was some great gameplay to end this tournament. He's a beast, and that's his textbook rocket in the corner there to end things off. So it looks like this tournament is going to be done here. He finishes in second place, and I tell you what, guys, we can't end this video without cheering on our buddy Dex, and the viewers, the live viewers here are really going to pile up as this tournament is waiting to officially end here. You can see all the people tuning in. Now, Dex, we've come full circle, ladies and gentlemen. He's going against an RG deck, which is a hard counter to his Xbow Siege deck here, but look at this. He gets his Xbow locked onto that right tower, and this could be it. That we could be good luck, guys. I think we're good luck. Dex was just tweeting me the other day saying, and this is good game, guys, he was saying that he was tilting and kind of raging because he just couldn't find a deck that he liked in the meta, but hey, I guess he found one because he just came in, I think, third place overall. Let me check that. Yes, third place for Dex-Max. Congratulations, Max. So, number one deck here by Johnny. Wow, what a beast. The Lightning Balloon Furnace deck. Number two deck, of course, we watched it the last few replays. I'm going to go ahead and copy this deck, try it out myself. Of course, I'm sure my gameplay will look nothing like Ammar the Hulk's, but let's go ahead and copy Dex's deck as well. Dex's deck, huh? Okay. And then this is the fourth place deck here, a Knight Ice Golem Graveyard deck. We go to the fifth place deck, a interesting bait deck here with the Electro Wizard. Go to number 6, and it was another bait deck. Surprise, surprise. Miner this time with the Inferno Tower. That was actually the same deck, I think, that Ammar was using. You can double check me if I'm wrong. Oh, we have our first Hog deck over here. Hog Lightning. Interesting deck there. I wish we had caught a replay or two of that. And we're back to Graveyard. Giant Graveyard Furnace deck. Let me check number 10, and we'll check 11 too for the heck of it. So a Giant Bowler Lightning deck. Giant Lightning definitely back inside the meta. There's no doubt about that. And the last deck that we'll check out, again, this looks like Johnny's deck, of course. As these tournaments tend to go, people copy the decks that are really doing well. So that's why I like sharing them with you guys. So you guys can, even if you couldn't attend live, you can check out these tournament decks. So guys, thanks so much for watching. And as always, take care, guys.